We are in Agora Holberg. We are in the second venue of Agora, which is a project born here in Neukölln as well, five and a half years ago. This is our new baby, our space where we would like to develop and continue our programs and develop and dive even deeper into new stories. One of these stories is Agora Move, which will be the platform for choreography, dance and body practices in this house. Yeah, besides construction, we are in a full-on, full-force fundraising moment. It's an independent project yet. It's within Agora, but it's also independent from Agora, and that's how we would like to run it. And it depends a lot of funds now to make it happen, to pay these constructions that needs to happen in the space. So we are running a crowdfunding campaign that it's online. It's going a bit slow in the moment, and we're doing our best to get people to support. And another thing we are going to start doing now, which is live events. So we would like to start our first contact jam, our first foreplay, which is a running program of the house, which is the encounter for chef and a choreographer, and finishing on a performative dinner. And what else? Acro yoga, yoga classes, little events that can bring this fundraising outside of our online world into the real life, and people can see a bit of what we're going to do, and if they can, also support us. My pursuing of a choreographer career was a lot because of this, because I wanted to stay in Berlin and I wanted to create something here and not be nomadic. And I feel like that from my contacts in dance, I feel this is a continuous worry or concern. We hope to provide an alternative way of production and training and and creating here in the city. I feel, we're discussing with a lot of people, we feel there is a very, vicious mode of operation. It's like you have the Senat, you have you have different production houses, but then really Berlin-based artists is there's so many people here, so broad, so many people doing work here, and we feel it's still lacking spaces for people to produce, to work, to be part of the curatorial process of a space, to build together a space for themselves. A less institutional space. Part of our program is to create platforms of visibility of working process showings together with feedback methodologies, so like creating bit by bit platforms that we can have not only working process but also showing performances in different contexts. We have the big Halle here, but we also have the studio downstairs, and we also have other opportunities within the space that we can play with. And it will be really nice to not only provide this for the artists, independent artists of the scene, but also to be a satellite space that already existing festivals, programs, institutions can also make use and collaborate with to break a bit the theater relationship with dance. A collaborative way of working, a like for example, I'm doing this together with Cinema Grandos, and we will start the program ourselves, but our intention is to, as soon as possible, to start opening the programming of the program to artists. So creating formats within where artists can then curate our program within their own practices, within their own interests, rotating a bit this role of curator or programmer or institution, you know, and like saying, okay, what should be, for who do we should give space now? Maybe we have a limited range of people to think, but then if we start passing this role forward, then this can be a bit more democratic in a way. We wish to reach different communities, not only the dance community throughout them. So we will have training for professionals, but we also would like to have training and practices for the co-workers of Agora and freelancers and people from around that can be just interested in body awareness, as well as the neighborhood community. It's also a very big wish of ours to integrate and be a bridge for people that are living in Berlin for much longer than us, living in Neukölln mostly for much longer than us, and that we can finally open a dialogue and we feel that the body, and also maybe even through kids classes, and then we can start having a bigger contact with this community, which was always a big wish of ours. So classes, and then we have intensive workshops in the weekends that we would wish to have a variety of focus to dive in. Then we will have contact jams, talks, which is one weekly night for discussion on several subjects around choreography, body practices, theories. Then we will have this Friday Live, which is work in process showings, so a platform to show work in its raw phase, and then combining it with Sheena's already existing project of the feedback methodologies lab. But in a second phase, to have a residency program, a long-term residency program that can support Berlin-based artists to really produce and stay in Berlin to create their work. Rehearsal space, always being open for people to. Our idea is to have a rehearsal space in 2 models. You can choose from a menu, so like you can just rent a space and rehearse and do your thing, great. But you also can choose to rent space and have dramaturgical support, having graphic design support, having documentation for your work. So we would like to also have these little packages that people can come rehearse and get more from this time with us, you know? The values are one of the motivations, so as you said, it comes really together. The motivation of being part and working towards creating a space or even an idea of a space that is run through the values of collaboration, self-organization, that we are experimenting alternative models, that we are not falling into repetition of old models, but that we are having the freedom to experiment. This is very important because it's the only way we can then find effective ones, you know, that really work. So we are experimenting the models of how to survive economically and how to survive collectively. It's also another big question. So it's through the doing, we are building methodologies and we are building alternatives, and this feels really good to look back and to see, whoa, we've done it, and we've done it in a different way. We've done it in a way without, without contributing to the things we don't believe, you know? Because normally when you want to do something, you end up having to compromise here and there to make it happen so you can have the proper funds, blah, blah, blah. And I think we were very strong resisting to it. It's hard. We do not have a comfortable economical situation. We never did. And we're always on the constant effort to get through months. But we believe in what we've been writing up until now in our history, and that feels good. And I think that's the motivation, yeah, and the people. It's nice to work with who you admire, with who you, you look forward to meet every day at work. I do notice the big influence that it has to have so many Latinos around, and to have this very strong community that moves in this different mode of operations. But I think it's a balance we need to find. Like it has many benefits, and it brings something new that a lot of people get attracted to.
What else could we say about this idea of the organic, a bit more chaotic, not so structured way of doing things? Because I think we can learn a lot from that. Because sometimes we have this feeling that no, we need more structure, we need more organization, we need more strictness, we need more regulations, we need more bureaucracy.
I am, at least inside of Agora, like very defensive on this freedom, or whatever we want to call. Yeah, I think it has to do a lot with personal relationships, interpersonal relationships, and caring for. It's a work less based on structures and papers and more in people. And I guess that's what makes the feeling of the community, and what makes the moment where, when you have a problem in the organization, that everyone understands and comes together, and there's no much frustration or against each other, but mostly like compassion and togetherness.
And trust, I guess.
And trust, a lot of trust. And it becomes almost like a little family that we are working together. And I think that's one of the keys, being more personal, like human-oriented.
And that's what you would like to keep alive now that you are growing, let's say.
Exactly.
Sometimes it feels that the fact that something grows needs more structure, more organization.
Totally.
How are you dealing with this?
Yeah, it's hard for me. It's hard to sometimes to face the changes that are gonna happen, and like it's always a constant balance between resistance of what we want to keep in the sense of spirit and culture of the organization, and what do we admit that we want to change, and that we want to improve, and that we want to structure better, So it's an encounter of these two worlds. But I'm learning to try to separate a bit the emotional from the professional or work environment. We Brazilians are very emotional, and then we mix a lot this with work, and there's a moment where it's good to separate, also in our personal benefit and health, because you affect the process in a way, and you also let the process affect you in a way that is becoming not very sustainable, and I learn now to give a little bit more space for myself and the project, so that I can relate to it in a more broader picture, and giving the contributions that I'm ready to give, and not throw myself into it and get a bit lost in there and shooting everywhere, and then end up like a bit overworked and frustrated at the same time. So I prefer to now start from where I am with what I have,